Hi, and welcome to The Joy of Posting. I'm your host, Rachel Jane Andelman, and this is my show. Welcome. If you are in the chat, feel free to say something, anything at all, even if it's ouch or oh no. Even these comments, as unsettling as they might be, it is still nice to see people in the chat. Hello, Unsalt, who I know who that is now. Hello, Isabel Hellraiser. Hello, Alien Monkey. Hello, Etsuka Medifide. And hello, Lazar Kosa. Hi, everybody. It's good to see my friends in the chat. Hello, all of you tonight. Thank you for coming. I know that you could be watching anything at all you wanted. You could be watching anime, sports anime, a shoujo anime, a sort of meta anime that's about like high schoolers in romance, but that's also like commenting on high schoolers in romance, which is now its own sort of genre of anime, as I've learned. You could be watching that. So thank you for against all odds and all evens, really. Choosing this show above those other options. Etsu says, I would think by now you would be better at pronouncing my terrible, awful name. You know, it's funny. For those who don't know, Etsu and I, we were dating at a point in time, and his name is, I believe it's the English transliteration of the Dutch name for one of the worms in Worms. It's absurd, and I never learned how to pronounce it, even though it's his screen name across various platforms. Based on a light novel. That's true. So it seems that I don't know if anyone but my friends whom I love are watching. So in this case, this might be more of an insular episode. That's fine. Any case, the goals of the show won't change. My name is Rachel, and I'm here to write jokes for the internet and talk about why I write them this way and how I get inspired. Yellen Monkey says, inside jokes you say that will trend on Twitter. I'm always, being on Twitch is a trip. I have been on Twitter since 2008. I started being a streamer and being involved in a streaming channel since about 5 months ago, and there's a lot about Twitch I still emphatically don't understand. I don't understand kind of the social networking that seems to be an important component, but which is much more opaque than on Twitter. I don't understand how people find each other. I don't understand how people become discoverable, their videos. And I don't understand how people watch so much Twitter every day. So there's a lot about this platform that baffles me, if not outright offends me. But I'm learning. But I do like that the show is about Twitter, because I do feel like I have a slightly better grasp of the platform that the show is about. Also, if you hear little beeps, it's because my Facebook chat, people are there's some sort of bit going on that I'm not privy to by virtue of me hosting a show. So there's a lot of jokery going near me, but that I'm not actually participating in. Etsu says, I think raids are a big thing for networking, where one person takes all of their viewers to watch someone else's stream. I've heard about raids. I've never initiated my own raid, although I believe the channel as a whole has. I feel like there's like a finesse to it. There's a certain savvy about to whom you would raid, like whose channel you would be raiding, and when and how, and who are the important accounts that are sort of roughly our size, not like the Tifus or the ninjas, who are gamers anyway. That's the other thing, is that we do have a couple of shows that highlight gamers, highlight gaming, but for the most part we are a non-gaming channel, which presents all sorts of questions that we're still learning how to answer, like how do we get to the people who want this? We've gotten to some of them, and how do we get to the rest of them? But anyway, this is all a vast digression. Alan says, it's networking / rating other streamers in your category and basically getting return raids, being one that has been the raid sent to raid. Gotcha. The problem I think we find is that there's no like comedy category on Twitch. It's all like, it's like all these games are their own category. Overcooked 2 is its own category. All the games have their own lovely little specific category, and then it's just like chatting. And chatting is like everything else, so it's quite broad and doesn't quite reflect the specificity of our own mission and our own programming. Vikings of love. Isabel says, well, that gamers can learn to love Twitter jokes, in my opinion. Sorry, Mario can wait. Mario can wait, although if you do make him wait long enough, he will sit on the ground and start heave sighing, as I found out when my first thing I like to do whenever I have a computer sprite or other character is to just see what they do when you don't do anything with them, and most of them will just have like a fainting spell, and I think it's cute. Because Sonic can't. Why is it Sonic can't? Because like the screen's always moving. It's one of those like, I'm moving whether or not you want to go forward. You have to go forward. You gotta go fast. Everyone's like, I know the answer to this. Sonic the Hedgehog is technically a shark because he will. Sonic the Hedgehog is categorically a shark. He will die if he stops moving forward. The way he is most distinct from other sharks is not the fact he's a hedgehog. It's because he has so much money. So that's my first tweet of the night. And you may be wondering, how did this, I heard kind of Sonic the Hedgehog is categorically a shark. You heard where that came from. It came from this fact that he's got to go fast or he'll die. And that reminds me of sharks, because sharks famously have to keep moving forward. Let me make this a bit bigger. And then he will die if he stops moving forward. That's me just exploring that, continuing to explore or explain that justification, justifying that first statement. The third sentence is pointing out that, or subverting the expectation that his major distinction will be that he's a hedgehog, that he's actually a different kind of animal, and that's what makes him different from sharks. I'm like, that's not the biggest difference. The biggest difference is he has so much money. So that's how Sonic the Hedgehog actually differs from shark. So you see that in these tweets, they're often sort of what's it called when your brain is continuing to have thoughts in a row? Stream of consciousness. And in that stream of consciousness, you'll find that I'm often setting up and then subverting various expectations. So even though this is one tweet, there may be 2 or 3 kind of what I would call like jokes in them. That the joke is itself kind of a mosaic of smaller tiles. And each of those tiles is a little joke or subversion. So that'll be our first tweet of the evening. And we'll just put that down. And we'll get rid of the period, because if you know me, you'll know that I think periods are often less funny than no periods. That's just part of Twitter etiquette. Gotta gulp that bubble. I love that. What a strange... Sarah, what a strange phrase, gotta gulp that bubble. And so IMO, the distinction is that scary music plays if you stand still in water. Jaws has scary music when he's in the water. Jaws is the scary music. Jaws, that's actually really cute. Jaws, Jaws, the shark, people don't know this. Whenever you're about to do a big lie or state an untrue fact as part of the joke, it's always fun to sort of create some sort of framework that boosts the authority of that statement. So, for example, Jaws the shark, many people don't know this. This is me sort of bolstering its authenticity, in this case by I'm elevating the status of the statement by imbuing it with a certain categorical exclusivity. Not everyone knows this, but Jaws the Shark didn't start out with that scary music. Originally, his theme was composed by, and this is where I'll find Jaws came out. When did Jaws come out? Jaws came out in 1975. So now we're going to find a 1975 pop actor composer. Not done in 1975. They were formed in 2002, which is confusing. So this is actually not getting anywhere. Bruce Springsteen, he was a pop act. We're going to change 1975 composer. Paul Meillor, Dimitri, John Greenwood, Leroy Anderson. Leroy Anderson's like a fun. Oh, he died in 1995. That won't quite work. Oh, these are just like names of composers who died in 1975. That's not really helpful. These guys all died in 1975. Popular. Let me change it to popular. I'm just gonna make up something. There's a skater named Jaws. He jumps off big places on a skateboard, like roofs and stuff. It's fun to watch, and he seems cool, but I'm worried about his knees and ankles. God, I am too. Now that I didn't even know about him until 5 seconds ago, and now I'm worried about him. But going back to the joke, Jaws the Shark, people don't know this, didn't start out with that scary music. Originally, his theme was composed by Hubert Humperdinck. It was a bit more jazzy and fun to dance to. But Jaws, he insisted on a careless, sort of an ominous tone, and ended up largely orchestrating. These little modifiers really can, again, boost sort of the supposed authenticity of this blatantly false statement. Insisted on ominous tone and ended up largely orchestrating the theme himself. So this is just funny because it's about a Jaws. This is about a shark. First of all, fun to call Jaws the shark from Jaws the shark. Pretty sure that's not his name. Pretty sure Jaws is just the name of the movie and shark is the name of the shark. But it's fun to call him Jaws the shark, and that's why we do it. It's also fun to think of a shark composing music, and that's, again, why we do that as well. So we're going to tweet that out. And we're going to check our little... we already have some retweets from the previous tweet. Again, I thank you guys so much for stopping in tonight. We have some, if you do want to support the channel in any way, there's 3 main ways you can do that. One way is just subscribing. Subscribing to the channel is a few bucks a month and really helps us out. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to the channel for free. By free, I mean no extra money. You still have to pay for your subscription to Amazon Prime, but you can subscribe to our channel for no extra charge if you have it. That's one way of supporting our channel. The second way of supporting our channel is by buying some of our merchandise. We have more and more merchandise every day. Most of it, the vast majority, designed by our wonderful producer, Matt Fear. So feel free to go to breadgear.net to pick some of that stuff up. The third way to support us is by taking a class at our partner website / company called 3weekscourses.com. 3weekscourses.com or .org. 3weeks.courses. I should know that. I knew that. I didn't know that for whatever reason while I was talking. But 3weeks.courses has courses in all sorts of stuff, from Black history of theater to how to read a Supreme Court ruling to feminist satire. They have awesome classes taught by amazing experienced instructors, and the courses are only 3 weeks long, so they're not that much of a commitment. And if you sign up for one and tell them that you heard about them from us, we make a little money, so you get to support the channel and learn something new. We think that's pretty fun. So those are the main plugs of the evening. Let's get back to jokes. Isabel said, would you make up a composer name? I'm curious why you looked someone up. This is a great question. The answer to that is that composers, in my mind, don't necessarily have like a stereotypical framework from which to invent a name that would strike someone as a composer name. Like, who are the big composers? John Williams, who's the guy who does all the Tim. I'm like blanking on Tim Burton. I'm blanking on every single name and word I've ever known. Tim Burton guy, Danny Elfman, John Williams. These are just like generic white guy names. There's not anything inherently composery about them. I think that if you have a strong enough stereotypical framework, you can do invention. Or either an invention of a person who sounds like a composer or one that sounds deliberately unlike a composer. But in the case of composers, I don't feel like their names tend to be evocative enough to make you think, wow, that guy's sure a composer. That guy has like a composer name. They don't tend to do that, at least in my mind. Ansalt says, the Supreme Court course looked neat. It's looking at the Bush v. Gore case for the upcoming one. Oh my God. I am so glad that somebody is like looking at the site that I mentioned. Thank you, Sarah. You guys are so cool. I don't want to cry from happiness on the show because that would get in the way of writing my jokes. But I'm very grateful that you're all here tonight. So thank you very much for that. Let's do some more. So Jaws the Shark was really fun. What else is fun? Fun things besides sharks and jazz. I felt like we had something going on earlier. Hawk skates. There's a skater named Jaws. He jumps off big places. It's fun to watch, but I'm worried about his knees and ankles. Oh yeah. If I click on the wrong tab, it does kaleidoscope, and I do it once per show. At this point, it's a bit, albeit one that only I appreciate as a bit. But I'm always really bad about making sure I never, not once throughout the show, click on the tab. Carcosa says, how can you post something about Twitter without stressing about it first? That definitely stops me. One thing about Twitter that there's a few things about Twitter that I think are good to internalize that make the process of tweeting easier. One is the knowledge that unless you tweet something incredibly offensive or racist or just super wrong, people will either derive a base level of like pleasure or ambivalence about your tweet, but no one will particularly be passionate about your tweet. People only be passionate about your tweet if it's super wrong or awful. So you can mostly tweet sort of to your heart's content, knowing that most people will not care about what you tweet. It's not a big deal. Again, unless you're saying something outrageous, which I don't think you guys would. Ilya says, what if you tweet about the wrong number of ghosts haunting Scrooge? Ilya is referring to the time when I wrote a very popular tweet that's like, imagine it needing 3 ghosts to teach someone a lesson. And I had about 50 to possibly 100 people replying under that tweet. What about Jacob Marley? And I'm like, well, technically he was a ghost, but it's arguable about whether he was part of like teaching him Scrooge anything. And also, if I had said 4 ghosts, nobody would have known what I was referring. The 3 ghosts is the iconic number there. Sometimes you have to bend the truth a little bit to get your point across, and that's about good communication. Joey Blue Eye says, that is outrageous. Rule of 3, famous ghost rule. Famous ghost rule. There's a reason the rule of 3s is so popular. It's because 4 Um, 4 uh, is the sound you make when you play golf. And no one who is committed to um, creating comedy wants to be associated with that pastime. So again, we have a cute little joke that we just have because I was trying to think of a reason that the number 4 um, would be a number that you would purposefully avoid. And the reason my brain landed on, and this may or may not make any sense to anybody reading it, is that it's for something you say when you play golf. And to what extent it is feels disingenuous or artificial that we are deciding that golf is this shameful sport to play. We have established, I think, enough in the joke itself that the narrator at least considers it a shameful pastime. Comedy. We'll change it to art just to make it a little bit broader. And so yeah, that's my little rule of threes joke. Was there a oh, it should be pastime with 2 T's? Well. I do misspell things in my tweets, and generally it's not the end of the world. Oh, it's a because 4 is the sound. Thank you very much. That's actually different than misspelling. That's just switching out it's just having the wrong word in there entirely, which is harder to see, but does affect it more, arguably. So getting back to Carcosa's question, the typo hard enough we can make it the correct spelling. Regarding Carcosa's thing about like not overthinking tweets, the other thing about Twitter is that you can delete your tweets at any time. You can delete as many as you want at once. And for me, that has created. I don't tend to delete tweets that much anymore, but certainly when I was starting out, the fact that you can kind of post and delete at your leisure means that I was often writing tons of tweets and then like deleting like 20 at once and it being absolutely no big deal. You can tweet to the extent that you are annoying people, but I wouldn't necessarily make that your number one priority. I would focus on kind of reading the tweets that you love, kind of breaking them down as we are doing on this very show, and then trying to sort of write tweets in the style or genre of the tweets that you particularly enjoy. Because there's no sense in you trying to mimic tweets you hate. And I did used to teach an online course. Maybe I'll teach it again one day, where I kind of went over some very popular joke formats. Popular, that is to say, popular on Twitter, and kind of helping people to write jokes in those formats. And if I ever teach that again, I'll let you all know. Ilya wrote a super long tweet. My ideas of the 2 most authentic Twitter experiences are reading a tweet where you have no idea what the context is and what anything means, and reading a tweet reacting strongly to a tweet which is deleted and therefore completely mysterious. Just tweet something, then delete the main tweet so that all is left is the argument in the comments. Twitter is wild. I do like that they've started summarizing trending topics on the side. Like sometimes a word will be trending and it'll just be like bumblebee, and you're like, why is bumblebee trending? And now they often have a summary under it that says, George Lucas was stung by a bumblebee in his CNN interview, and things went quite awry. And you're like, okay, I get why the bumblebee is trending now, because it attacked and injured the famous filmmaker George Lucas. This all makes sense. In the old times, back when I was a kid, they didn't have that summer meaning on Twitter isn't always it sucks when it's impossible to find out why something is trending, but I do like it when they make you search a little bit because you feel like a little detective. Um, oh, is the stream gone? You guys see me? Yes, if I was thinking about when I said Bumblebee, I'm like, ugh, that's already a franchise. Um, uh, but yeah, I don't watch Disney Plus. But Pfeiffer, thank you for subscribing. Currently on a 4-month streak. Thank you so much. But Pfeiffer makes really cool Gundams, Gundam, not statues, minifigs, figurines on Insta. If you ever want to see some, go to Pfeiffer's Instagram page. They're really cool. So yeah, let's see what other jokes can we write today. I feel like I'm often inspired by the chat to write new tweets, but our conversation as it's currently has been going has been all about Twitter. So it feels very like if I am inspired by the chat, it'll end up becoming very meta, which I tend to not indulge that too much because I think it's more fun to kind of go out into the world and be playful about the world. Ships in bottles. I love ships in bottles. I love ships in bottles. I love minifigs. Has there ever been a minifig in a bottle, like a ship in a bottle? It's a minifig. Do a quick ship in bottle minifig. Just curious. You can get Lego bottles in. Yeah, you got some Lego LEDs. These are most of these look like they're DIY, which I believe everything back in the old times everything was DIY. You guys are having a fun time in the chat, and I'm missing it. Gundams battling in a snow globe. I would watch that. One of these days, I just want to see a Gundam mega fig. Tired of all these minifigs. I want something that's 100% the times of a Gundam in the anime. I saw a giant glass bong with a Dragon Ball minifigs in it the other day. Woo, glass bongs. You should talk to my friend Britt. And also my friend Joe, and also all my other friends, because they all have bongs and opinions about bongs and tips and bong tips and bong tricks. Oh, Japan absolutely has the smallest and the largest Gundam. Back in the DIY times. Back in the old times, everything was a DIY project. Of course, generally, the credit was given to God, so it wasn't necessarily. Fun fact about me, often when I'm writing the word necessarily, I'll say in my head necessarily to remind myself where the C is, and I just realized that I just did it for possibly the first time in my life out loud for you all tonight. So if you were watching this and you're like, did that bitch just say necessarily? I did. I said necessarily because I need to remember there's a C, and I need to remember where it is because there's a lot going on in that word. Back in the old times, everything was a DIY project. Of course, generally the credit was given to God, so they weren't, they weren't categorized as such. But believe you me, that butter was absolutely not from the supermarket. 100% started as what's a good Elizabeth Henry. Going DIY on that turn. Now, are Gundam series the breeds? If so, can we have a Gundam Seed and a Gundam Wing crossbreed? I don't think Gundams aren't like organic. Like Evas, I think are organic because they're like secretly monsters. I feel like from what I remember of the original series, towards the end, there's like a scene where they just kind of like throw off. They have like all this armor on. They just kind of like tear it off, and you're like, oh, the Evas are just monsters. They're not like real robots. But I'm pretty sure Gundams are like actual robots. Like they're much more straightforward. Sorry, spoilers for Evangelion. One of the top mecha animes of the 90s. It's funny, I remember reading in a magazine our favorite anime from the 90s, Evangelion and Escaflowne. And I'm like, I was thinking like how much Evangelion is like still part of like the conversation and how no one ever talks about Escaflowne anymore. I just think it's fun. Ilya says, don't talk that way about Shinji's mom. Shinji's mom is crazy. Gundams are mostly mechanical, although Seed goes hard on eugenics. I've never seen Gundam Seed. I've only seen Gundam Wing. I've only seen like the ones with like the cute 14-year-olds, which isn't creepy to say because I was 14 when I watched it, and so therefore everything was kosher. Like you're I want to do another one. Anime fans standing pervishly against the arcade near the magical high school, content knowing that although they get older, those shoujo some shoujo manga stay the same age. The protagonists of their favorite. I do wish that anime like had more adult. I guess maybe it's one of those things where like I just need to like look harder, but also like everything, like I feel like you shouldn't have to be Sherlock Holmes to find an example of a genre of art that's not about high schoolers specifically. Like they really lean in hard. I really feel like at least 70 to 80% of anime is about high schoolers or people who are very much like in that like 15 to 19-year-old range, and it's really hard to escape. Agretsuko, Agretsuko, I guess she is working, but she seems like she just again very young. Like even Twitter wants me to change the word pervishly, which I know is not a word, but I'm deciding it's a word because that's how language works and evolves. Hello, to peevishly, which doesn't mean what I want at all. So anime fans standing pervishly against the arcade near the magical high school, content knowing that although they get older, the protagonists of their favorite shoujo manga stay the same age. So that's a little fun little reference to the movie Dazed and Confused. If you haven't seen it, it is not on Netflix. I think you'll have to get the disc. It's supposed to be 24-ish. Like in the workforce and now being pressured to marry to at least mid to late 20s. Okay. Agretsuko, although they do like in fairness, like I guess the excuse or the way to what's the exception that proves the rule is Agretsuko, where people are all embodied as like cute little fuzzy animals. So it's okay to be 30 in an anime. You just have to be a cute little tiger. a 25-year-old red panda. So 25. I have been owned with this one example. Cool. So, let's keep going. A podcaster I like made a whole radio play about how perverse anime is. Anime is like so weird. Ugh. It's like, you know, like if you imagine like somebody who like grabs a woman's breast and they're like, oh, you know, they don't know what they're doing. But that person, like there's something about them that cognitively they don't know that's bad, but like that trait is often like grafted onto our protagonists. Like or like people we're supposed to be rooting for, they like will suddenly like lose all of their cognitive function and just grab a boob and you're like, dude, I know that you have the capacity, like the empathetic abilities to know that you shouldn't do that because I watched you for 23 episodes grow as a person, so stop it. Anime is very strange. I've been watching Assassination Classroom, which is a very anime in that like it's weird in all the ways that like it's weird, but you're also like, that's classic bizarre fucking anime. Like it's weird in a way that feels very normal for an anime, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, I'm sorry. Alan Monkey says there are some interesting ones like Log Horizon, not high school, just murder, and the main character is a grad student. Good for them. See if I feel like I'm in a very like anime headspace, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to write anime jokes all night because anime jokes are kind of niche in that many people on the internet don't watch anime at all. For example, the producer of the show doesn't. So it's hard to write jokes for a niche knowing that you really do try to kind of keep them just on the broad side of specific. If that makes sense. Right, manhwa jokes. I think those just be manga, which I always say manga. I know it's a manga, but I'm not pretentious, so I say manga. I believe it's right in a sense. I want to write about babies. I just saw some cute baby pictures today, of different babies of friends and family. Manhwa, Korean comics. Ooh, Korean comics makes me think of K-pop. I have been watching more K-pop. My favorite part of any K-pop song is when the singer says that I'm going to have to work hard to keep up with them. Miss Singer, Miss Korean pop star, I'm an unemployed freelance writer living with their parents. I have lost this battle many months before it began, although I would take you out for two lemonades. You seem really confident and have great color sense. So here I'm doing a thing you'll probably see a lot in whenever I write a joke, which is kind of swerve back and forth from the intent or the overarching point. Here I'm like saying the pop star says this about trying to keep me in a relationship. I'm saying, this pop star, there's no possible way we'll ever be in a relationship. That said, if you ever want to go out for lemonades, these are the reasons why I think I would be a good person for you, or that it would be fun to hang out with you. I'll here we're just going to do some gentle, light editing to make the sentiment fit within the tweet. My favorite part of a K-pop song is when the singer says that I'll have to work hard to keep up with them, Miss Popstar. And I'm an unemployed freelance writer living with my parents. I have lost this battle years before it started, although I would take you out for lemonades. Take you out for lemonades when it's best part of a K-pop song is when the singer says, I'll have to work hard. There we go. Usually the word you have to get rid of the most is the word that. At least that's been my experience. Boba tea. Oh yeah, I hadn't even thought about boba tea. That would have been more, more right or wrong. Gotta head to bed. It was fun. Happy tweeting. Thanks. Bye, Elia. Elia's really cool. I miss the cat that we got together. I miss seeing the cat. I haven't seen any of my friends in many, many months, so that's fine. I'm happy to keep just doing a few more. We don't have to keep this show too late. But again, I really, if you're watching this, I'm incredibly grateful. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out at 2MB Studios on Twitch, or much less likely on YouTube or on Facebook Live, where I believe we are also technically streaming. But Twitch is really our hub. Isabel says, you tend not to use emojis in your tweets. Is that because emojis conjure a specific image of the person character tweeting? That's a great question. In this case, I'm not using emojis during the show because I'm at a desktop. So I don't use emojis on a desktop because I don't even know how to begin to look for them or to post them within the context of how I'm tweeting. On my phone, I would say I use them sparingly. I think that I haven't, or I struggled to always find the most foolproof comedic strategy that would employ them successfully. So that's why I would refrain. Isabel Hellraiser says, is this Chrome? You can press the Windows key and period to bring up an emoji keyboard. I don't know what I'm writing at. It's an Inspiron. It's a Dell. It is a Dell. I don't know if that's Windows or not. And Matt, our wonderful producer, is also mentioning another thing you can do if you'd like to. You can get a joy of posting notebook to write your ideas in. If you've ever been like, I love Rachel, I love her dumb face, or I love this episode, or I love this show despite her dumb face, in which case, congratulations, that must be an ongoing struggle, but thank you for pulling out a win there. But in any case, merch of this show is available on our swag store, breadgear.net, or the hyperlink that Matt currently has open in the chat. Isabel says, oh, the browser instead of Internet Explorer. Yeah, this is Chrome. Yeah, I actually, you know what? I'm gonna table that. I'm gonna try that out at a later time. I swear I will. Because that's kind of fun. I didn't know I could do emojis on my laptop. That's kind of my desktop, rather. That's kind of cool. I didn't know they had that many. Sarah always knows like the cutest things to post. Thank you, Sarah, for lighting up our chat right now. I love your happy person. My father died when I was a child, he sucked into an with creating and got sucked into one of his own creations. I miss him every day, as he would say. That's his mouth saying, tough breaks, kid. You'll see that I often like to put the punchline in parentheses. I just think that's a helpful way of letting the reader know in a subtle way that the end of the sentence or the end of the thought should be sort of put it in your head at a slightly different register. So you say it slightly differently in your head, and that kind of emphasizes its sort of punchline nature. Let me just fix this. I see that we are having a little party in the chat. That's awesome. Chats can be for a lot of things. They can be for asking me questions. They can be for saying that despite my years of use of Windows, that I actually can use emojis in Windows, as well as throwing tables in the chat. I also love that. Throwing a table, overturning a table when you're mad is a great. Overturning a table is a great way to express that you are angry. This is especially true if the bottom of the table has a little note explaining your current grievance. Just even better, a tiny table, a little letter, a tiny table inside that note. Inside the folds of that note, and you can then overturn while they're unfolding it. Unfolding the note. So this is another type of so again, back and forth, what's real, what's real, what's real. And in this case, I like it because you just kind of kaleidoscope the situation. You throw the table, you explain yourself calmly like an adult, but actually there's a tiny little table you can also overturn. And so that's kind of fun. We have some people posting. Ojo Hatsuma or someone, the spiral horror guy. I'm not sure. I think in response to my ASCII art, I guess, in retrospect, is a lot like a horror manga. Overturning a table is a great way to express that you are angry. This is especially true if the bottom of the table has a note explaining your current grievance. Even better, a tiny table inside the folds of the note that you can then overturn while they're unfolding the note. So that's a nice little setup. I do like recursions. I like fractals. I like anything math. That's math and numbers, and that makes shapes. I waited specifically for Ilya to go to bed before I said those words because that's probably the dumbest possible way to express that sentiment. And he's a math guy, so he would know. He's a Monty Hall problem. I'm trying to think what would be. I think I'm going to end around 10:30 tonight if that's okay with everybody. I assume it would be. Again, can't be thankful enough that you've all kind of decided to stop by and watch this show. I really appreciate it. I'm always here. I'm almost always here starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every 9 o'clock on Wednesdays Eastern Time. Every Wednesday 9 o'clock Eastern Time. That's how I learn when things are. So I'm helping you all in the way that I would help myself. But I'm always on this channel, ready to show you how my jokes go. So we'll do a couple more for the road, as they might say. I think I say that every show, because I just really love. Apparently, I didn't know I loved it until I didn't start doing the show. But apparently, I love that expression. One more for the road. I guess I'm just like nostalgic for the road and roads. Maybe we're going to do a joke about that. One more for the road can be a statement about how you are going to have one more drink, have an additional drink before exiting the bar. As a non-drinker, I tend to say it when I am felling my enemies. I am when I am beating my enemies, when I am felling my enemies, when I am defeating my enemies, and dedicating my victory to my sensei, who was a highway. That's very silly. One more for the road can be a statement about how you are going to have an additional drink before exiting the bar. As a non-drinker, I tend to say it when I am defeating my enemies and dedicating my victory to my sensei, who was a highway. So that's just like fun because it's fun when your sensei is a highway. I just think that's a little bit of a goof, a little bit of a jest, something we can all enjoy, I think. I hope we are all, I know it's strange and a weird time, and I know it's Christmas Eve tomorrow, which for many people, not myself, I'm a Jew, so my holidays were earlier. People like Hanukkah, and I'm like, you mean religiously the least important holiday in the Jewish calendar? Yes, Hanukkah. But I mostly know this time of year is the time when everyone around me gets very animated, either excited or anxious. And now it just seems that everyone is pissed off and miserable this particular year. That again, the time of year never has meant much to me, but I am sorry if you are out there and you are struggling with this time of year and the year that we are having. It's really hard, and I'm really sorry. I was wondering if you would do a Christmas timely joke. I could write, I guess, yeah, it's so funny. I haven't written any Christmas jokes tonight at all. I can do one. The red-nosed reindeer. Is a stark reminder that you see a flying reindeer, you should stop. After all, you'd only go if his nose were green. and it is not. I think that's a funny little Rudolph the Reindeer joke. I don't think even though it's a fairly straightforward one, I don't recall ever reading a variation of this one. So I think this one holds. Oh yeah, with all the snow jokes last time, I did write a lot of snow jokes, which in retrospect, I'm like, should I have? Was that worth everyone's time? I think we have time for maybe like one more joke for the night. Again, thank you so much for hanging out. It's really good to see all of you. I know seeing all of you is now much more of an abstracted term. Yay! I'm really glad that you're having fun, and if I see you next week, that'd be cool. We're in book club together, and I've reached the part of the book where I'm like, if I keep reading, shit's about to get really scary, and so I'm having trouble reading past that part where it gets scary because you're like, this person's in a lot of trouble. I don't necessarily want them to have to experience the end of the book either. I think I once wrote a tweet that was just like, you can do it. It can't get you. Oh, but yeah, I have a hard time sometimes with horror movies because sometimes I'm watching the beginning of a horror movie and I'm like, this protagonist is as happy in these first 5 minutes as they're ever going to be. Why would I ruin their lives by continuing to watch this monster ruin their life? Giraffe babies fall several feet when being born. I think that's reason enough to never keep your pregnant pet giraffe near the top of a flight of stairs. Think of the children, one might say. And believe me, when it comes to wildlife care, I have. I saw Hereditary after I finished a really emotionally difficult book. While I was worried about a close friend of mine, it was an early day. I'm really sorry. But Pfeiffer says Midsommar. It gets pretty dark, but I think she's smiling as the credits roll. Yeah, I've never seen Midsommar. I do know that she kills a guy. I tried to watch Midsommar when I went to the theater. They'd replaced the screening of it with Lion King 3D, which I was very mad about. But anyways, it's at the end of our hour. It's the end of our time. Thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun writing jokes for you all and explaining myself in a way that I hope was still fun. And yeah, feel free to follow, subscribe, get some merch. It doesn't have to be the merch with my face on it, although if you want that, no one will stop you, not even God. So feel free to get some of that. Take some courses, 3-week SAT courses. They're our partner. And otherwise, have an excellent, as much as God, again, and the devil will allow, have an excellent Christmas Eve, whether or not that is a holiday you celebrate or even a holiday you like. I hope you have a good rest of your week. I love you very much, and I will see you virtually again soon. Good night.